Hey, procurement professionals and business leaders. Have you ever thought that building a top-notch procurement team is like searching for a needle in a haystack? You're not alone. 2023, I had to build a procurement team from 2 staff up to 7, and for the life of me, could not get it hired. I have been in public procurement for the last 24 plus years. Prior to that, in the private sector, I have a wealth of stories and anecdotes and tips and tricks to share with you to make your procurement journey a lot easier. Learn from my mistakes or from my successes. This week, I'm going to talk to you about building a procurement team in a really tight hiring market. And partly why I thought of it, it was because I received this card from the team I built at the last organization I was at. I was there on a term employment. I was hired to build that procurement team. So I was temporary, and I can show you, I got all this wonderful information from people. I had to hide the personal contact info of people who want me to keep in touch. But that was a wonderful thing to receive in the mail. How I tackled it was a little differently. Like originally, we posted positions. Like I started in 2021, we posted positions. I hired someone, but ultimately that person left due to family reasons. And then we kept trying to hire and justifying the workload needed more staff. I'll do another video separately on how to justify the size of your department based on workload and time it takes, depending on the tools you have. But that's a future video. In order to hire in a market that was really tight, we had a number of people that were applying for positions outside of our salary range. We're public sector, so we do have budget constraints. We also had people applying without public sector knowledge, but there are ways of mitigating that. And we had people who were very much like policy police, which were not the skills we were looking for. And I've mentioned that in the transferable skills uh, video, that we want people who are going to problem solve and help our end users, not beat them over the head with a baseball bat. So what we did, we had the postings, we weren't getting anywhere, and then also we had increasing workload. So first step was a part-time consultant contractor, just to help support the department and take some of the pressure off and take on some of the request for proposals projects. I've done that myself for many organizations. That way it helps alleviate the workload without committing to a full-time resource. And then over time, you can justify, oh, we need some more staff because the workload's still increasing. Next, what we did is we identified some of the administrative tasks that the procurement specialists were spending a lot of time on. They didn't have tools, so a lot of things were being done that were manual. So perhaps that could be done by an admin person. And this idea was not something I came up with myself. It was something that came to me. We had an executive admin member on a project who reached out asking if there was anything they could do to learn about procurement and contracts because they were interested in the field. So, with permission from their executive project director, they were able to assist us with some of the administrative tasks like compiling reminder emails to contract managers, consolidating forecasts and work plans for the next quarter, and just sending out some of the approval emails. From that, we had a second executive assistant reach out. And so we had them assisting as well in some of the meetings and on their project. Ultimately, we got permission to create a coordinator role. And this role was to take care of a lot of the administrative tasks, manual tasks of dealing with paperwork and assisting with some of the tactical aspects of the role of contract renewal paperwork, contract insurance paperwork, those types of things. Then from there, we still needed more support, but we started thinking succession planning. And so if you have internal candidates that can come into a junior role and then have aptitude to learn, you can create a succession plan. And so again, you can move someone who may not be experienced into a junior procurement specialist role, give them some of the lesser complex, lesser risky requests for proposals for them to learn on, and then build them up from there. So we managed to build the department by bringing in some internal candidates. A couple of them moved on to other positions elsewhere, but we were creating an internal succession plan to do this. Another option, co-op students. Co-op students can come in and do some of the manual tasks, insurance expiries, following up on renewals, chasing down end users, those types of things. And then they get to learn about the contracting process. They can take minutes in your meetings. There's all sorts of things you can have a co-op student do depending on what their field of study is. If they're studying legislation, then you want to teach them all about the policies and regulations you have to comply within. If they are in operations, well, then they may want to see the grander picture of how do we get goods and services into our organization. So you have to tailor the co-op students' work to what their area of interest and study is. We had postings. Start chasing your network. If you know of people in other organizations that, if you're in public sector, you can do secondments, and it's meant to be a way of educating people within the public service in a new role. So if you know of people, or you know of people who can recommend someone, you can reach out and possibly do a secondment that they come and work with you on a temporary basis, learn from you, and then they have their previous job as a safety net to go back to. And if they choose to apply for your future position, well, you've already trained them. And that's another method of building up your department and creating more succession planning as well. Also, you can reach out to other organizations if you know of people who are actively looking for positions. That one you have to be kind of careful with, because you don't want to tick off your colleagues by stealing their staff. So I might have done that in one case, that I stole somebody from another organization, but there was a justification that he was looking to move up and I had a position that that person can move into. But this card that I got, it was all about building the team and how I shared my knowledge. And that is something key to building your procurement team, is sharing your knowledge and creating a team that complement one another. It's not about surrounding yourself with a bunch of people who will do exactly what you say. I selected people that were leaders in their own way, leaders or skill sets or competencies in areas, and complemented the rest of the team. I was looking for the team to be a whole, not a bunch of doers all doing the same thing. So I was very grateful to receive this, that I saw them all as helping me build something, but I could rely on them to take care of. And what I got back from them was just a validation that I shared my knowledge and mentored them in their future careers. And I'm so grateful for that they all have great careers ahead of them, and I was able to be a small part of it. So Hope this helps. It's something to consider if you're trying to build a team. Build a team around you, not below you, and be part of their career journey.